Lives of our Saints. This Tuesday our church celebrates the feast day of Saint Matthias. The following are some details on his life and works. With the death of Jesus, the dispersing of his devoted disciples was anticipated, but that blessed band, now reduced to 11, recruited one of the apostles to 12 that Jesus had originally intended. The task of selecting from among the 70 apostles one who merited the honour above all others may have been made less difficult by the knowledge that Jesus had a strong love for Matthias, the unanimous choice of the disciples to fill the vacancy. Matthias stepped out of the ranks of the famous 70 to join the most elite group in history, a lineup in glory. They were Simon Peter, Andrew the brother of Peter, James and John the sons of Zebedee, Philip, Matthew, Bartholomew, Thomas, James the son of Alphaeus, Thaddeus and Simon the Zealot. These names, like the Christianity whose permanence they assured, are enshrined forever in the hearts of men of good will. The selection of Matthias was hardly a stroke of chance. He had all the credentials for making the team of the Lord in the deadly game to determine whether or not civilization was to know the glory of God and the truth of Christ. He was equal to the task of standing up to the scorn and ridicule of the faithless and to act as an eloquent spokesman for Christ to those who had the courage to listen. The disciples were called upon to set examples for all others in faith, courage and dedication to the Saviour, and Matthias joined in answering that call with the others in a display of sublime resolve to which Christendom is indebted for all time. Matthias, like his fellow missionaries, encountered dark suspicion, disbelief, superstitions, and outright hostility. A sweeping miracle would have offered the path of least resistance, but that was not the intention of the Lord, and Matthias was acutely aware of this when confronted by scowling onlookers. The new faith had to be forged in the fires of hate and persecution if it were to survive. To this end, Matthias applied himself with a firm but gentle resolve, and from this noble purpose he never wavered. One of the countries to which Matthias first sought to introduce Christ was Armenia, a land in which the spark of the new faith, struck by Matthias, was to ignite the torch of St. Gregory the Illuminator 300 years later. Matthias was met in the early years by very few open minds and hearts. The majority offered him a grudging hospitality, and when he was able to muster a sizable group, there was always the usual number of hecklers who mocked and often jeered him. The cynicism and scorn made it more difficult to reach those who opened their hearts to the preacher, and a lesser man than Matthias might have been put to flight. The patience and perseverance of Matthias prevailed, however, and in all parts of the country he won scores of converts to Christ, who formed the nucleus of Christendom, which is as viable today as it was 2,000 years ago. Much of what is known about Matthias is contained in his writings, which he managed to record while making his missionary rounds, and which is known as the tradition of Matthias, a work which guided the early church fathers in the formation of the Christian worship. His mission carried him to ancient Abyssinia and eventually to Ethiopia, where he was put to death by the pagans.